That's the nail in the coffin. That's the stake through the heart. That's going to do it.
But it's kind of like Tom Brady-esque.
Heavy load just out of someone's brain.
It was an absolute clinic from the kickers last night. Hello and welcome to Football X's and O's, your weekly tactics show, giving you all the insight from across the NFL. Today we're going to look at the Super Bowl matchup between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks coming out on top 29-13 in the big game. I'm Daniel Cutts, and beside me I've got NFL expert David Scott. David, what are we looking at today?
Oh, we looked at a great game last night, a very defensive game, but there's more than just defense to talk about. So we're going to get into the super QBs, Drake Maye and Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold ends up getting the win. An unlikely MVP, the first time this position has gotten an MVP since 1998. Barnstormer, A.J. Barner, has had a great playoff run. He's had a great season all around. He's been really a breakout candidate for the Seahawks. We're talking about a head-scratcher. Drake Maye had a couple of head-scratching turnovers. One of them was especially heinous. And then we're going to talk about kicking and screaming. The kickers and punters had a good time last night. They really were quite good. And we'll give them a little bit of a shout-out here.
I'm really excited for that segment. We'll get on to that. Let's start with the quarterbacks. It was an interesting matchup between the two. Everyone's going to be talking about Drake Maye. They're going to be talking about his stats and how poor he was, really. A couple of interceptions in that game. There was pressure. He struggled. He looked really nervous. Sam Darnold on the other side of things, he didn't have it all his own way, but it looked like he was quite methodical and did his job really, kept the ball safe. How did you see it?
Yeah, he kept things pretty easy. I think that was the game plan all along. Let's just get some of this down so the people can see. I apologize for the horrendous writing, but let's start with Darnold's going 19 completions. He's going to have 38 attempts. Yeah. All right, 202 yards and a touchdown. All right, that's what he had. Drake Maye over here, he had 27 completions, 43 attempts. He had 295 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns. Now we're adding on to that 2 interceptions and a fumble. So pretty large margin of passing, but you got to take into account, I believe he had the largest fourth quarter passing number in history. It was somewhere around 200 yards. So he really started throwing the ball in that fourth quarter. He also started throwing that ball into some bad situations in the fourth quarter. So there's a real difference between what Drake Maye and what Sam Darnold were doing. And I believe what Sam Darnold was doing was being composed with the football, not forcing it into situations where you don't need to, leaning on your running backs. Meanwhile, Drake Maye had to really try to put the team on his back while he had pressure bearing down on him from all sides. It's just never going to work out like that, and that's why he had such a high volume of passing, but at the same time, not a very high-quality passing game.
Is this Darnold performance what you would call a Super Bowl performance? It's pretty safe. I hate to kind of put his name in with it, but it's kind of like Tom Brady-esque, where he hasn't made a lot of mistakes. He's kept the ball, his team, he's kept it ticking over. The ball's slowly going up the field. It's nothing too incredible, but it's kind of what you need to win playoff games and Super Bowls.
If we don't turn the ball over, we're going to beat the Patriots. So I'm sure it was said to Sam Darnold, hey, don't force the ball into bad situations. If you got to throw the ball away, throw it away. We're going to run the football. We're going to take our easy passes. We're going to win the football game. That's all they had to do.
And then we go on the other side of the ball. We got Drake Maye. I mean, from the start, he looked very, very, very nervous. He looked like a young kind of a kid who hasn't been in the league many years. He looked like there was a lot of weight on his shoulders. It was a lot of pressure for such a young quarterback. And if we look back at the stats throughout the playoffs, he never really set the world alight. There's a lot of talk about they never really beat anyone in particular. The schedule. They got that nickname last night. It was outside of those yards in the final quarter. That was kind of what it was, wasn't it? It was a nervous performance, and it was littered with mistakes, really.
Yeah, I hate to say that the moment was too big for him, but it kind of seemed like it was. Now, you got to give him a little bit of a break. That offensive line had a horrible night. Will Campbell on the left side had the worst Super Bowl performance from a left tackle in history. He allowed 16 pressures, I believe. That is atrocious. So there was almost no moment where Drake Maye had a clean pocket. That being said, when he did have a clean pocket, he was missing a lot of throws. He had open guys that he just totally whiffed on. So, yeah, the moment was a little too big for him. But being in a Super Bowl in just your second season, that's a good growing and learning moment. he's going to be back here in the future probably with this team that he has around him. So I would say that, while the moment was too big now, this is probably going to help him in the future.
You talked about a lot of pressure on him in terms of not having his offensive line, not really giving him that much protection. Is it not all on him then? Do you think a lot of the time, despite his kind of mistakes as well, and he didn't have his best game, he didn't get a lot of help around him?
No, it's not all on him at all. Now, one of those interceptions that we're going to talk about later that really swung the game, that's all on him. That one was his fault. But with the amount of pressure that he had, with the receiving core that he has around him, I just don't, you can't place all the blame on Maye. He certainly didn't have a good game, despite, 295 yards and 2 touchdowns. It just all came too late. Didn't have a good game, but at the same time, give him some props. He had a really, really tough environment around him.
Let's wipe this clean now. Let's go on to the MVP, Kenneth Walker, who had an incredible game at running back for Seattle. He was pretty dominant across the board throughout the entire game. He was unlucky not to get a touchdown at the end, but it was an impressive showing from him. Talk us through where his wins and losses and how he was so dominant throughout.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker had a spectacular game from the start, and we were talking about it while we were watching the game, that he kind of looked like prime Le'Veon Bell. He was so patient behind the line, showing a lot of anticipation beyond the line. So he carried the ball 27 times last night. He had 135 rushing yards, and on top of that, he had 2 catches for 26 more yards. So he goes over 150 yards on the night. All I can say is that he was beyond incredible. The way he was shifting behind the line, waiting for his blocks to open up. The Seahawks have a pretty solid offensive line. They've done very well in building that up. And when you're patient enough to allow those blocks to develop, to allow the lanes open, you can get huge chunk plays. And that's what he was doing. He was breaking off 10-yard runs all over the place. And it was because he was allowing those lanes to open up. A less intelligent running back might just barrel into the line or try and redirect his run. He's sitting there, bouncing his feet around, making sure that the defenders don't know which way he's going to go, and then once that lane opens up, he broke through it. So this is really encouraging to see from Walker. We've had a running back duo the whole year in Seattle with Walker and Charbonnet, and I don't think Walker really got a chance to shine in that environment.
You talked about the patience. Is that the difference between a good running back and a world-class running back? Is someone where they look like they've got all the time in the world? It's a lot of the time you see these ground and pound, they're like hitting the line really early. Him last night, like you say, you compared him to Le'Veon Bell to me when we were watching it last night. He sat there, and he saw his moment. He waited. It was like a lot of trust in his line there to give him the space. He kind of knew it was coming. Every time he got the ball, you felt he's going to find a lane here. And he was like, it was patience that really kind of set the game alight, really.
Yeah, I'd say all the best running backs in football have the best field vision. They're reading the play 5 seconds ahead of what's going on. Where is this going to open up? Where am I going to be in my next 10 steps? Where is the defense going to be in those 10 steps? Walker was predicting the entire play every time he was on the field last night. He was getting the football, watching to see where the defense developed, where his line develops, and then picking his lane to go. It's spectacular. That is what that's what we see from Saquon Barkley. That's what we see from Christian McCaffrey. Like those guys who have those crazy seasons, those huge stat lines, those Offensive Player of the Year awards. That's what they do. Kenneth Walker showed that off in this game, in the last playoff game. I really want him to get more of a chance to shine. I hope he does that in Seattle, but if not, someone else is going to pay him.
Let's wipe this clean. Let's go on to our first play of the game. And we just went through the Seattle offense there and talked a little bit about JSN and a few of the other guys. But their only touchdown came from a source who had a really good game in the end, but kind of probably wasn't someone you'd expect to get the kind of highlights. Do you want to talk us through like what happened, how it came to be?
Yeah, all right. So bear with me while we throw this together here. We're going old school. So let's look at our formation here. Fairly simple. All right. 5 guys at the front. Darnold is under center. He has Kenneth Walker behind him. A.J. Barner is over here, split out behind the line. We got another tight end. Let's say maybe it's Jake Bobo, who sold my parlay last night. And then 2 guys out wide. All right. So manned up over here. 1, 2, 3. We'll say 4 guys coming in, 2 linebackers, a safety, and manned up over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Who am I missing? 1 more over here. Got it. All right. Now we can go into our offense. Clint Kubiak is a genius. We've seen that throughout the year. That is why he is going to be a head coach with the Raiders. And he's doing some pretty interesting things on this play. So first of all, over here out wide, JSN maybe. I don't remember who this was. Coming up across the... not across the field, more on like a deep rounding post kind of thing. Similar over here with possibly Rashid Shaheed. Let's say that's who it is. Kind of a more of a looping deep post here. So we got guys going deep into the end zone. Now, this situation, we're on the Patriots 16, so we're not that far away from the end zone, but these are still deep routes. Now, over here, coming up for a block, running back coming up for a block. How are we going to utilize Mr. Barner over here? Well, this is kind of similar to something they used out earlier in the playoffs. Clint Kubiak did this crazy thing where he put Jackson Smith and Jigba in the backfield and ran a scissor route into the end zone. We're going to do a similar sort of thing. What we're going to do is we're going to option Barner across the play. All right, looks like he's coming in to join these blockers here to maybe give Kenneth Walker a route around the outside. No, sir. What we're going to do is Barner's going to motion across. Once you start thinking that he's going to block, he goes into that scissor route to the corner of the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, this is just pure genius from a scheme standpoint. This is how you scheme someone wide open. Comes down, follows the route here. This is going to get real confusing on the board. I apologize. Comes down, all right, down, coming up to help, or coming up to help over there. What does that mean? This is wide open over here. There's absolutely nobody in the corner of the end zone. When you can scheme guys open rather than utilizing their skills, you're going to find so many more scores than you would by just trying to rely on a Jackson Smith and Jigba to do everything he possibly can to beat his man. Motion across the backfield into scissors with a tight end into the corner of the end zone is mind-boggling. That is just something that you don't see. And that is something that, I mean, Fernando Mendoza, you should be thanking your lucky stars that you got this guy Clint Kubiak as your head coach. He is going to do some crazy things with you if this is what we're seeing in the Super Bowl. It's incredible stuff, and it's just so impressive to see this kind of heavy load just out of someone's brain come onto the field.
This is what we kind of talked about this a bit last night as well. To have a tight end free in the end zone, it looks like a blown coverage. Like what's gone wrong? Like whenever you see someone free like that, my first instinct is probably the kind of pessimism or skepticism or whatever it might be, but like what's gone wrong? Because something might have gone wrong. You seem to think this is just really, really intelligent.
I think this is purely what's gone right. Like, again, let's look at our defense here. Oh, let's not get rid of you. Let's look at our defense here and just try to imagine what each defender is going to be thinking. So you're manned up here. So obviously you want to follow this route. You're manned up here. You're going to follow this route. You're a high safety. You got to pick where you're going to help here. This guy who's manned on Barner, he's just going to shift onto the line. This is the man, or this is the man that should be taking over Barner. Instead, this block comes in, takes him. Seems like he thought he was coming in. Barner comes up. These linebackers go down. No one's home. So it's not the case that someone didn't pick up their man. It's that Barner was schemed wide open. There's pretty much nothing you can do about it unless someone picks up a signal or has the intelligence to realize something's not right here.
Do you think this is a play that the Seattle Seahawks were luring them in with? Because I remember a lot of Barner early in the game and in that first half, and then it was all prepped for this play. It was kind of set up. We'll give you half an hour up to half time of him just doing this methodical blocking job or routes that are kind of 5-8 yards. He got a couple of catches. He had a really good game overall outside of the touchdown, actually. But it felt like they were kind of luring him in for this play. Is that kind of fair to say?
This is the ace up your sleeve. This is the play where you're trying to find the right situation to use it, and then you finally get it. Yeah, Barner, he's a great blocking tight end. Like, he is absolutely fine in those situations, so they're going to use him in that regardless. But when you can get him in this spot where, all right, it looks like a standard, we're motioning across to the right side to get, maybe we're doing wham here, where Barner is going to motion across directly into the block. That's kind of what a wham sort of thing is, and then Walker's going to come up and try and get through here. That is probably what this looks like. We're running wham. All right, not too bad. We know how to cover wham. When he breaks off that block or breaks off the idea of a block and comes out, then things are getting crazy. So I totally understand how the Seahawks could have been using him as a disguise for most of the game. You get to the fourth quarter, you need your score to really bury the game. Let's pull this out. Let's blow their minds. Let's score a touchdown.
This is the good. Now let's wipe this clean. Let's talk about some of the bad.
Let's talk about the bad.
We have talked a little bit about him, the quarterback stats, a little bit about Drake Maye, and what went wrong for him in that regard. We're going to get a play up here, which is a play that Chris Collinsworth talked about on the broadcast and was literally left speechless with
I don't know if he even talked about it. He was just mind blown by what happened. Yeah, this is an ugly play. This is just something that shouldn't happen. And this is where we talk about the moment maybe being a little bit too big for Drake Maye. Just being a little bit too inexperienced, not really understanding where the ball should go, or being a little bit overwhelmed by trying to get your team back into the Super Bowl. So let's look at what we got here. Bada bing, bada boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right. There's our offense. Let's get our defense out here. Manned up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Man coverage, man coverage. We got 2 linebackers, 2 safeties. All right. You're going to get a lot of coverage over the middle of the field here. That's where things go quite wrong. So, all right, we're going to have someone going on a little bubble here. Big looping, deep route going across the field. We got a short route going underneath. And then we got another route coming across sort of in the intermediate of the field. And then our running back is coming across here. That's kind of irrelevant. Let's give you the situation. The Patriots are on their 44-yard line. They're down 19-7. 8.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. There's plenty of time left to get back in this game. Drake Maye might be thinking, this is my moment where I get us somewhere into this. Now, the issue is we got 2 high safeties. So the deep route, that's kind of off limits. The 2 high safeties, one of them, if not both of them, are going to get there. That low route, all right, we got 2 linebackers here. That's probably off limits. One of the linebackers at least is going to be there. That intermediate route, that's going to be a real tight window. We could go there if we want to. That's a possibility. You got to be perfect. You could check down over here. That looks all right. This man is going to be following their wide receiver. So we got over here. Our running back going out into the flat. That's an option. We got over there. We got 2 for-sure options. And then if we want to get crazy, maybe let's go to the intermediate. Drake Maye got crazy. He overthought it a little bit. Let's go to the intermediate. Now what he does is he does not go to the intermediate. That ball ends up right around here. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 possible defenders to get up and get that football. Julian Love ends up coming down with the football with the interception. It's a little bit boneheaded. You're in desperation mode, yes, but I mean it's 2nd and 3, this situation. It's not 1st and 10, it's not 2nd and 20, it's not 4th in the game on the line. It's 2nd and 3. So this check down probably gets you the first down. This out route probably gets you the first down. Sure, nice chunk play down here if you find it in this very tight window with these guys all coming in, because the second that ball gets out, they're all diving for it. It's just not going to get there. I think even if the ball is on target, either whoever this man is gets absolutely leveled and is carted off the field, or it's an interception again. If it gets to the deep route, it's an interception again. If it gets down here, it's a breakup or an interception. All around, it was the wrong decision. It's a decision made by a second-year quarterback.
Do you think this is all on him? Do you think how was this kind of schemed up in your head from the Patriots' point of view? Should that ball have ever gone up there? Was this him seeing the field like that and him thinking, I think I've got an open man there, or was this pure panic? Or where do you think this originally was going to go to? Or do you think they thought, well, we only need 3 yards, so we could probably lure them slightly in to think that we're going to go short either side, but we'll go long?
Yeah, so this is just purely a Drake Maye decision. It's a baffling one, but it's just what it is. It's a backbreaker. You're going to get a chance to get back into it. They don't have that chance after this one. So, yeah, you could pinpoint this as the moment that the game is lost. You could pinpoint that first fumble that he had. You could pinpoint the Barner touchdown. A lot of points you could pick out as the period that the Patriots lost the game. But this one right here, kind of, that's the nail in the coffin. That's the stake through the heart. That's going to do it.
You don't want to be thrown towards this Seattle defense either, especially with that length of time that they've got to see that ball in the air. I mean, he threw the ball, maybe 40 yards, something like that?
Yeah, maybe like 25 to 35. The ball was in the air for a while, and in the location that he put it, there's no way that someone that wasn't wearing a blue jersey was going to come down.
They were swarming around the ball all game as well, weren't they? There was just no way that was the right decision to make. Where do you think he needs to improve to get over the line? Is it decision-making in a big game? He has had 2 playoff games, again, not as good at opposition as this Seattle Seahawks team, but where do you think in future, and what will he learn from the overall Super Bowl experience? Is it kind of embracing the situation as a whole, as in the Super Bowl? It's a lot of pressure on a young quarterback. Where do you think, if he wants to be holding that trophy one day, what does he need to do?
We're going to have to work on decision-making, and we're going to have to work on awareness. Now, I don't think he's ever going to have an offensive line this bad again in his career, and if he does, that sucks for him. But you can only go up from where this offensive line was, so the awareness is going to be easier for him to handle because he's not always going to have someone coming off his backside, so that'll get easier. But he's got to be more aware of when his pocket is collapsing, because the fumble in this game was pretty huge, and the fumbles throughout the playoffs, he's lucky he even made it to this stage with those. So awareness in the pocket. Let's make sure that we understand when the pressure is breaking in. Let's get out. He's got good enough legs. He can run with the ball if he needs to. He had 37 rushing yards. Could have had a lot more if he broke out of the pocket when he probably should have. This could have been a situation where he could have run with the ball instead of, chucking an interception. Let's make smarter decisions. Let's be a little bit more aware in the pocket. We could see a step forward into first place in the MVP instead of second place.
Now let's wipe this. Let's talk about something that I'm very excited to talk about. As a British man who loves his soccer, it was an absolute clinic from the kickers last night, both off the ground, the punting team were incredible. Literally, they couldn't have had a better game, the Seattle Seahawks, from that point of view. How close were we to having a kicking MVP last night? Because Myers was on fire.
I'd say maybe like 30 yards from Kenneth Walker. If he's at like 110 yards instead of 150. But yeah, I up until maybe like the last 8 minutes of the game, I really thought that it was going to go to Myers. I mean, he had 16 points contributed during this game. So he was doing most of the heavy lifting throughout the game. He was scoring the points. So now Kenneth Walker was the one who put them in those situations, and he did really bury the game. But if he was at 100 yards instead of 150, I would probably have given it to Myers. Now, if Walker had a touchdown in 100 yards, then yeah, he probably still gets the MVP. But I think it was closer than you could have expected.
There's been a lot of talk throughout the season, actually, about kickers, and I think there was quotes going throughout the year about, you don't win Super Bowls with a kicker. Like, kickers don't win Super Bowls; they don't win you titles. Last night, proved that just isn't the case. It felt like a real kind of professional performance from the decision making from the Seattle side, because they kept that scoreboard ticking over, and Myers delivered every single time as well. Was that an kind of impressive thing from a Seattle point of view? It was like, we'll put the pressure on the Patriots. We trust our defense to stand. We trust our kicker undoubtedly, but also our defense are incredible, and they're playing out of their skins at the minute.
I think it's a bit of both. Jason Myers was one of the best kickers in the NFL this year. If you had him in fantasy, I think he might have finished number 1 in fantasy. So that's a pretty good thing there. But at the same time, we have the top defense in the league. If we miss the kick or if we have to punt the ball, whatever, like we have the capabilities to stop them and get the ball right back. That was on full display last night, either whether it was letting Myers get the field goal, roll the points over a little bit further, and then get the defense back on the field to get a stop, or if it was punting the ball within the 5-yard line over and over again and pinning the Patriots back for another 3 and out. They made the right decisions. You know, I said it earlier, McDonald did not want to beat himself. He wanted to just beat the Patriots. He knew if we made no mistakes, if we didn't turn the ball over, we're winning, 100% chance of winning. That was his mindset going into it. Punt the ball, kick the field goals. Yeah, I mean, they played very basic old school football and it won them a Super Bowl. And I think that's a good mentality to have. Take your points when you got them. Don't force the football and win the game.
I just want to ask you one thing about the punting team as well, because we talked about Drake Maye's performance. If you're pinning them within the 5-yard line every single time, which is pretty much what they did, and they have to go the full length of the field, does that automatically put pressure on a quarterback? And how impressive is that to actually do, to get it consistently within that 5-yard line? I mean, wherever it was going as well, he was putting it out wide, out of play, he was putting it down the middle. I think there was one where they decided to let it drop and then it bounced within a yard of going into the end zone for a touchback. Like, it was an absolute clinical punting performance, and it put the Patriots under immense pressure throughout that entire game.
Yeah, I mean, coffin corner is pretty much dead. Guys are just, putting air under the football now to allow the fair catch and get you guys close to the ball. But getting it out of bounds like that is really impressive. The return team getting it down close to the 1-yard line is very impressive. And yeah, puts a huge amount of pressure on the offense because one, with an offensive line that weak, all right, we got to be worried about a safety now. So we either got to run the ball and try and push our way out of the end zone, or quick throws that could either be turned over or broken up. So a huge amount of pressure on Drake Maye when you put him back there. It's, again, when we talk about that inexperience, that the moment being too big, the moment grows exponentially when you're in a situation that's that dire. It's a lot more stressful when you're on your own 1-yard line than when you're on the opponent's 1-yard line. So that is huge from the Seahawks situationally, tactically, to keep making the field longer so that the Patriots have to either march the whole way or stuck it back there for 60% of the game.
I think that'll just about do it for us on Football X's and O's for us this week. Thank you to David for the entire season. He's the Sunsport MVP, especially when it comes to tactics. You can still catch us every Monday. We're going to launch a new show called Football X's and O's Back to School. We'll be going through all of the college plays, starting with Fernando Mendoza next Monday. You can catch us on YouTube every Thursday with our Ain't That Our Ball and our future college productions as well. Make sure you like and subscribe and let us know how you think the Patriots will get on next season. Can they go one better and win the Super Bowl?